Welcome to the Everyday Creative Podcast. We are two creatives that will discuss our own creative journeys, mental health, and a little bit of everything in between. Oh yeah, we're married too. Thanks for joining us.
Welcome back to the Everyday Creative Podcast. I'm Cameron.
And I'm Bryce.
And we're on episode
7. What's in the box? What's in the box? It's from the movie 7.
Wow.
Just thought I would.
I don't know that movie.
Yeah, you want to watch it?
We might
Just
have
say
to.
yes.
Why?
Because. Say you'll watch
Why
7
won't-
with me.
So I won't like it?
Oh no.
What's it? Is it
It's
like
about a
horror
serial
movie?
killer.
Yeah, no. Absolutely not. No, thank you.
You wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
We are recording in the night.
In the night. So it's been a whole day.
It's been a whole day, which means this is either going to be extra entertaining or we're just not going to be able to articulate
Put together
our thoughts.
5 words. Yeah.
But I was thinking before we were recording, we were listening to some music, and one of my favorite things, because you don't watch Reels, you're not on TikTok, anything like that, is me telling you that a song's like a TikTok song.
I hate that.
And I was like, man, we should do a game on here where we play all this music, or you play music, and then I tell you it's
songs that I think are wildly cool, and you're like, that's on TikTok.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's songs that you listened to a long time ago, and then it just became popular.
Yeah, I was just listening to Young the Giant before this podcast, and that song came out a long time ago. I was jamming, and you were like, this is on TikTok.
Well, yeah,
And
because
it made
I've
my
heard it
heart
before.
sink.
I just say it because I've heard it before. I'm like, I think I've heard this on a reel or something.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So how are you doing?
Doing good.
Yeah?
Yep.
That's good.
I guess we should update everyone.
Yeah.
Onto our new format
We're
that we're
changing
trying.
some things.
Because we recognize that you might not want to spend 2 hours listening or watching us. And if you are, if you do want to do that, I would say just go watch a movie, because probably time better spent. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
Putting down our podcast. No, you can watch it in multiple sittings though.
Yeah.
But we do realize that not everybody loves to listen to long podcasts. And also we're, entering a new season ourselves. So we want to make sure that our podcast is manageable so that we can keep putting out episodes. So we're going to try to shorten it. That's the goal today.
Yes. We'll see how well that goes.
We'll see how well it goes, because I can also
Watch it be our longest episode
That's
yet.
what I can see. I can see it being, because now we have more time to talk about, which we'll explain, one segment that we talk extra.
Yeah.
But the goal is to not do that. So go ahead. You go.
So what we're doing is, usually we had lights, camera, and action, the fan favorite part of the episode. And we had a main topic, which revolved around usually something that we were just discussing about. And so what we're doing is we're just splitting those up. So one episode might be
a movie review,
and then a little talk about stuff around the movie, so themes and all of that. And then another episode will be like a topic.
Yeah. So if you're a listener who likes to listen to more of our conversations about being a creative, mental health, life in general, that might just be one episode, so you can look forward to those episodes. If you're more into our movie reviews, those are going to be episodes as we watch movies, as movies come out, so you can stay tuned for those. And then it also will give us a little bit more freedom to maybe try new things. So maybe we'll have more Q&A, or we'll have more we'll be able to try different formats in which to do our podcast, because that will be the main topic of that episode.
We'll also be able to see what people like the most, if they like our mental health talks or our creative process talks or our movie reviews and critiques. But then people will be able to watch what they want to watch and not have to sit through 2.5 hours of us just talking.
Right. Yeah. So, we'll see how this goes, and we might change it up in a couple of months because why not?
Yeah. Just let us know when you're watching this, what you like, what you want to see, and we'll make it happen.
Cool. So, what kind of creative were you this week?
A busy creative.
Busy.
I've been busy the past couple weeks as a creative. So I started my new job with an agency, and it's going superb so far.
Superb.
I got my first real assignments on Monday, and I've been busy ever since. So I'm just a busy creative. How about you?
I'm going to say, I didn't think about like how to phrase this, but maybe like a searching creative.
Creative on a journey.
Creative on a journey.
Aren't we all? Just always.
I feel like right now I'm extremely inspired, but not sure where to express that inspiration.
Well, that's great for the main topic today.
I know. That's what got me thinking about this topic that then we could talk about. But so I feel like I'm just kind of like dabbling in some things, finishing up some like projects that I had started before, but feel like I'm on the cusp of a new creative outlet, but not sure what it is yet.
Well, maybe we'll figure it out by the end of this episode.
Maybe we will. I hope we do. Okay, so we're going to jump right into our random generated question. This is something we're going to continue doing.
Oh, yeah. It's always great.
Because it'll get our minds flowing, and they're fun.
Cool.
So,
hey, Siri, give me a number between 1 and 50. Oh, no.
What?
1.
If you got to choose your name, what would it be and why?
It's a dumb question. Because
you think it's a dumb question?
Yeah, because if I could choose a name for myself, right?
Yeah. It's not a dumb question.
I can't see any other name for myself.
Right. But do you like I guess the question is like
yes, okay, I understand.
Go ahead then.
I would want to be named something like Optimus.
Optimus.
Or Skywalker. How about you?
That's great for you. I actually really like my name. Would you change my name?
No, I really like my name. That's why I was very confused at this question.
I feel like there are some people though that they're like, oh, I wish I was named another name.
Well, there's some people that have multiple names and they change their names.
Right. But I like my name.
Yeah, I love your name.
Thank you.
But yeah, Optimus Mentzer. That'd be cool.
Maybe we'll name our kid Optimus.
I don't think so.
I'm just kidding. We can make that a middle name. We have to, I feel like, you have to give one kid an embarrassing middle name.
Yeah.
We're already just building the trauma in our children.
Now I'm going through all the names that we could name our kid's middle name. Like blank Simu Mentzer.
So we're going to name, why don't we just name him Simu? Simu is not a weird name. We legitimately offend Simu on all these episodes.
And if we
don't mean to, and we want him on the podcast, but for some reason we just say things that could be taken offensively.
Blank Florence Mentzer. Flo.
All right.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Cool.
You heard it here first, folks.
Whenever we announce our child's birth, refer to episode 7.
Yeah, not our future child's birth.
Yes. No. Yeah. Future child. This wasn't an announcement.
Just clarifying. Just clarifying. Okay. Moving on.
Yes.
To our main topic. We're just jumping right in.
It feels like we just started.
Because we did. Okay. So, like I was kind of talking about with where I'm at creatively, it really got me thinking this week. And I was thinking, as we look forward to the summer, I don't know about you, but I feel like this is a season that brings a lot of inspiration. A lot more travels happening for people. You're outside more. I think overall, it's just, it brings like a new,
the vibes are good.
Yeah, fresh perspective. And so I was thinking, like, because of that, I've always felt really inspired around this time of year. And I feel like lately I've been inspired to try new ways, new mediums, new whatever, to create through. And I was thinking, you know, we talk a lot about creativity on this podcast, and we talked about on our first episode that everybody to some extent is creative.
And what was that chart called?
The Bryce's creative fluidity chart or something
there you
like that.
go.
Was that the name?
Yeah.
Wow. Good wife
I'm
points over
so
here.
proud of you. You listened.
You know, I try. But I was thinking there might be people who are listening who are on their journey of discovering they are a creative person or just feeling inspired like we might be. And so I was like, it might be cool to talk about how do we start like new creative endeavors. Yeah. So if that makes sense. And if you're discovering your creativity, how do you even begin that?
Let me ask you real quick.
Yeah.
Why do you think summer is the most inspirational time for you?
I don't know exactly, but I do, like, I was reflecting on this past day since we have been thinking about this, is like whenever I get super creative, it is in the spring and summer. Like that's when I'm always like, I want to start something new and do a project. I feel like part of it is just there's just this like switch that kind of happens coming out of like a winter that feels long and kind of drags on, and then spring kind of brings this like new fresh energy. So I think that's part of it, that it just makes my like mind move a little bit more. Does that make sense? I also think, like I said, like with summer, like you're doing more things, you're experiencing more things, you're outside, you're going on trips, you're having get-togethers, you're spending time with people. It's just very different than like the winter. Does that make sense? Yeah. I think I'm also very inspired by the outdoors generally too, of like flowers and green, and like it's just it can be very inspiring.
I like the fall the best. I feel like that's my most inspirational time. It's a really short season, so my inspiration's very small. But the tail end of summer, in the fall, and then up until the very first like snowfall, because you've got your warm lattes, you've got your sweaters, you've got the changing leaves. So a lot of poetry and Bon Iver and film cameras. It kind of shows our different like expressions just in that, because I love fall, but I love to experience fall. I don't necessarily feel like creative in fall, but it kind of shows like you have definitely that type of like creative vibe. Like I just want to go throw on a beanie, go to a coffee shop, drink my oat milk latte, listen to Bon Iver.
You never drink lattes anymore.
It makes my tummy hurt. But that's why oat milk. Yeah, sometimes.
You just don't really like
it. Doesn't work. But with my film camera, writing some poetry, like that's fall.
We need to create. We either need to create it, or somebody out there needs to create mood boards for us.
Yes.
You can have that vibe, and I'll have the like light color, spring neutrals.
I'm a dark, moody, earthy tone boy.
I think I want to be, but I just don't think I am. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because like I aspire to be different sometimes too. Like I want to be it's hard to explain what I want to be, but it's like a guy in summer with like linen shorts and like a open like Simu kind of. Yeah. I can't. That's not me. Yeah. I'm the moody autumn boy. BOI.
Yeah. So, wow, that was a tangent. That was talking about our aesthetics here. We should do a whole episode on our aesthetic.
Well, I think we can bring it back. It kind of fits in how your aesthetic can maybe motivate you and inspire you creatively. And yeah.
All right. So my first question for you.
Yes.
Is there anything new in your creative world, or kind of along with that, is there anything that you want to try now or have ever considered trying? So maybe like, is there something that you're like, man, I kind of want to try this new thing? Have you ever considered trying something new but just haven't yet? Haven't taken the jump?
I mean, to some extent, there was a point in time where everything was new.
I realize that, but I'm saying in this season.
Yeah, I know. There's nothing too new. Mm-hmm. There's some things that are resurfacing. Like I just started a new job. It's been a while since I've worked for an employer.
Yeah.
So that's new, and it's learning how to navigate being under somebody else, like under somebody's leadership and creative mind, which is fine. It's just a different type of execution than I'm used to in the past year or so. Yeah, there's nothing too new. I'd really like to start writing more. And I keep saying that. And it's just, I get roadblocks. I get a little fearful of failure and just, it's kind of failure to start and the fear of starting.
We're going to get into that, babe.
But yeah, so I'd love to start writing more. And maybe over this summer I will.
Yeah. You've started, spending more time in music, though.
I have. You
took a little hiatus from that.
I took a long hiatus. Well, actually, so it would have been from like
it wasn't that
July
long.
Because I played emo night in July. So from July to about a week ago, I took a hiatus from playing guitar. Not on purpose, really. It just kind of happened like that.
Do you feel like that's like kind of necessary sometimes for a creative, though?
Yeah, there for a while I was super into guitar and I was playing. That was all I was doing, and I didn't touch a camera. I didn't want to touch a camera.
It definitely flips for you.
It does, but I think right now I'm in a nice place where cameras and that kind of creative realm of physical art. That's kind of my thing, and music is kind of off to the side here. I still appreciate it a lot instead of it flipping and flopping. Yeah.
But you also got a new film camera.
I did. And it's a rangefinder kind of film camera. So that's new to me. I'm used to just the SLR type. So I will be enjoying that. It's getting CLA'd right now. Yeah. But yeah.
So those are kind of new things that you've already kind of done.
Yeah, there's nothing I'm not taking up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was trying to think of something.
Is there anything that you want? Have you ever thought about taking up that you haven't? And that sometimes in the back of your mind, you're like, well, maybe one day I'll start blank.
That's a good question.
Do you want me to answer? And
I want you to answer because I didn't think about it.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm on my creative journey. Yeah. I feel like I'm on the edge of discovering something that I'm like, that's like my passion. That could be completely wrong, and I'm just being real hopeful. But
well,
very optimistic.
Aren't all creatives just hopeful people?
Yeah, but I will say, like things that I've been kind of dabbling in a little bit that I have done in the past is like a teeny bit of graphic design stuff, and interior design,
which I think you're great
house
at,
and everything like that. Thank you. I don't know about that. Which is like kind of what I'm doing right now is finishing up like a project, which kind of takes a little bit of graphic design, and then working on our outdoor space for this summer, trying to create a good inspo board for that. So then we can get materials and make a really cozy, fun outdoor space.
Yes. Vibes.
Love it. So that has kind of gotten me like a little bit inspired recently. But something I've tried before and I want to try again is painting.
Painting. See, that's a thing that I'm not going to step into.
More like abstract stuff because I can't draw. But there is like
You showed me a drawing you did. It's really good.
I don't have good like depth in drawing. But also maybe that's something I can learn. I don't know. But you know how like sometimes like you can paint, but you don't necessarily need to know how to draw. Like there's people who do paintings where that drawing background, like if they do faces or whatever, I'm not going to do portraits, but like artwork for our house, you know what I'm saying? Like,
do you feel like the
landscapes,
when you say like painting, like therapeutically?
Yeah.
So abstract more.
Yeah.
So whenever I think of abstract painting and like therapeutic painting, some people are painting landscapes and all that. But like if I was doing therapeutic painting, I'd be like throwing paint.
Oh, maybe not
the
that
canvas,
aggressive. Maybe not that aggressive.
And like ripping holes.
But just kind of letting the artistic flow. But I also could see myself painting landscapes because I also love taking photos of landscapes. You do. Like, I think that's a place where I could really step into because like I said, I get inspired by the outdoors.
You do.
And I love taking like photos of landscapes. Water.
We got to get you out taking more pictures.
We just need to get me like out
of the house,
out of this area for like we're going on some trips here, so I'm looking forward to that and feeling really excited for that because sometimes when you're just around your same environment, you don't feel as inspired by it.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
So I feel this, but I want your take on it. Why do we feel so? Why do we feel as creatives like we need to get out of like our town to be creative? Because let's just an example, like somebody that lives in New York City wouldn't necessarily, if they live it and they're walking it every day, they're not necessarily going to be taking pictures and seeing it through that lens. Maybe they are, but maybe not. Same with us living here. Somebody might come from New York to here and be like, whoa, there's cows and there's barns and there's fields and there's mountains. And we're just like chilling. And we want to go out of this area. Why is that?
I just think you need like a change of scenery to help boost that inspiration because there have been times where we've gone on trips and then when we come home, we have a new appreciation for the things that we see, but we just need to take a step out of it. I think it like it can even be to the point of like if you have an office space that you work in, like there's gonna be a day where you're like, man, I just need to get out of here. Like, it's just like, I need to get out of the house, right?
Agreed.
Because it's just like, you just get used to your environment and you feel, and so maybe like last couple episodes ago or whatever, someone asked, how do you get over creative block? Maybe it's a change of environment.
Yeah,
maybe it's not even just like taking a step away from what you're creating, but going, I'm going to go to a coffee shop and work on it. I'm going to go on a nice weekend trip if you can do that and like get inspired by other things, take like just a location change. And I think, again, that's why I feel like there's just inspiration in this season because more people are doing that.
I think it can also be mindset shifts because let me tell you, I drive the same roads to the gym every day and it's just bland and whatever. But since I got that camera, I'm seeing different photographs on that drive. Yeah. And I'm like, dang, I wish I had that camera.
Yeah, sometimes
you it's just like that, a little something that kind of triggered something in my brain that's, hey, let's see this differently now. Yeah. And that, you know, you don't have to buy something to get that inspiration, but.
Yeah, so painting is something I would want to get back into. The reason I don't think it worked the first time is I had definitely more like, so like when I did it before, it was more just like for fun. And it was like, I looked at inspiration and then tried to recreate it. Whereas this time I would want it to be solely from my brain, like a full expression of me because I'm embracing that part of the creative process. Also like would want to get, I want to talk a little bit more about this later. I have some questions surrounding it, but would want to get like better quality painting materials that would look better.
Yeah.
What?
I have a question for you. Sorry I keep asking you questions.
No, it's okay. It's what we're here for.
So you just said you want better quality paints that might inspire you more. So I don't know how to phrase this because I only know how to phrase it in a way that I would understand. Is gear important? And is a higher quality gear important? Yeah.
I will, and again, I want to get into this about like how do we start when things are required to actually start, but like honestly, like what I was painting with was like craft paint, which isn't necessarily like, it can work. But like the way that it like covers the canvas or whatever, it's just, there's a lot of imperfections in it that bothered me, and then I didn't enjoy the process as much. Whereas I think if you have like a thicker, nicer paint, because I've been watching some painting videos and I'm like, that's some nice paint right there. You can really layer, you can add texture, you can add depth, and it gives you more ability to be creative. Does that make sense?
It can. So like the paints, the more high quality paints, they can execute your vision better than a cheap just craft paint.
Right. So yes, we'll get into that in a bit. But then I also just wanted to touch on like something I'm getting back into. So we've done something that I'm dabbling in now, something I want to start, and then something I am getting back into is photography.
Yes. We
went to DC. I took photos. I've been editing them. I think I'm ready to download them and put them out there into the world, you know. And then one thing I kind of want to try is some sort of video.
Okay.
I just want to learn the skill. Not like
you're coming for my job.
Not like not cinematography. But just,
I wish you could call what I do cinematography.
It is funny. But like just, you know, where I can start to document life.
We gotta get you a camera.
That's mine.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Oh, so I love the gear.
This is where I'm at. I'm trying to figure out what my passion is.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling excited and hopeful.
I love it.
So as we are so we're on the journey right now. We're discovering our creative outlets.
Indeed.
The question is, how do we find our creative outlets? What are some strategies to figuring out the best way we can express ourselves?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah, it's a question for both of us. But yeah, so what are if people are trying to figure out what their creative outlet is, what are some strategies to how you figure that out?
I would say I just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. I try whatever. Photo, video, painting, drawing, cooking, all the things. See what I kind of like and enjoy. See what I'm good at. And if you're not good at something, it's okay to just like not do that. But that's kind of how I've found my creative passions in the past. It's just, let's try something.
Yeah.
If I fail, okay, cool. We know that one's probably not the thing for me. But yeah, how about you?
Yeah, I was going to say that too, is just like trying things. I do like have a question about how to get started when you want to try things. But yeah, trying a bunch of things, because you might think that you do have a specific creative outlet and then you try something else and that's actually a better fit for you. Or you might have never thought, oh, I could do this. And then if you try it, maybe you will realize that you enjoy it. Yeah, so try things. But the challenge, like we just talked about, is when you are trying things, like if they're trying all these different things, sometimes you need materials or you need things that are, bless you. Bless you.
Thank you. You could see it building.
Being completely honest, I need to dust in here, so that's why Bryce keeps sneezing on these podcasts. Just collects. Anyways, but like that can be expensive. For example, if somebody wants to take up photography, you like, how do you even start when you have to buy materials? And like, what are ways that we can try these new creative ways without being unwise with our money?
I think there's a couple things. So let's just go with photography for this example. So if you came to me, and I'm just assuming that you haven't touched a camera before, but you're like, hey, I have my iPhone. I love taking pictures. And what's the next step into trying to dabble into photography more? I think I would just ask, like, what are your goals? So are you trying to do this as a career or just a hobby? What are you looking to get out of it?
Yeah.
So I'd probably tell you to like research, do YouTube videos, see what you want to do. Like, are you doing landscapes? Are you doing portraits? Are you doing this for fun? If you're doing it for fun, I tell you maybe, and you're low on cash, stick with your iPhone. Like, get good with that. Compose scenes, like edit on your phone. Like there's great apps you can download to like tweak your photos on your phone. And just see if like storytelling through photography is something that speaks to you. And if it does, okay, next step. Like, let's talk about what kind of camera you want. What's going to best fulfill the needs that you want it to.
Yeah.
So then we start out with like a more basic camera, and then if you like that, then we keep on building from there. So I would say, like, take the fundamental thing that is whatever you're trying to pursue, see if you like it. Don't invest too much money into it. Like, don't go out and buy a Leica if you're just starting out in photography.
Well, that, and also like, what if you find, actually, I don't really enjoy this? Now you just spend a bunch of money on a camera that you're not using. It's not worth the investment.
Or like painting. Like, you could start out with craft paint, whatever you have at home.
Right.
And if you like that, then go buy more expensive things. But don't go out and buy a $2,000 easel and all these. I don't know much about painting.
That was kind of my thought too. Like, it depends on what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I was also thinking, what about if, like, for example, for things like painting, pottery, even like cake decorating, what about just taking a class?
Yeah.
Where they're providing the materials for you and you can decide if you actually enjoy the art of it.
Yeah.
I think there's a place around here, but I'm sure there's, if you live in a bigger place, there's even more opportunities of like, maybe there is just like a art studio or something where you don't have to take a class, but maybe there's like a fee to, like, an admission fee or whatever, but then you can just build and you have materials there for you. And then you can see if that's something that you enjoy before you, I mean, like, that's obviously, you have to spend money to go to these places, but to actually get all the supplies, that adds up quickly.
Oh yeah.
And then if you get all, like, there's been so many times where, like, I've gotten supplies for things and then I've been like, well, this is just gonna store in my, because, you know, I didn't use it. So yeah, I think that can be something that limits people from starting, including myself, of just like, I'm gonna have to go out and get supplies, or spend this money, and I don't want to do that unwisely.
Yeah. To bounce off that, I would say, yeah, you could take a class. I know specifically for photography, if you live close to city or some place like that, there's groups on Facebook and all that go on regular photo walks. I know where we live, there's a photographer group that goes on, that has a monthly meeting. They go on photography walks. And if you know us and you're wanting to get into photography, maybe we could set up a photo walk or something. That could be fun.
Yeah.
But also, don't be afraid to phone a friend and be like, hey, I know you have that camera.
Yeah.
Could I borrow it? Or could we go on a photo walk? I know you have those paints. Could you spare a little bit to see if I like this?
Yeah.
Before you go out and invest your hard-earned money.
Yeah. And maybe that is something, though, that you're even thinking, like, long-term, like, can I invest in these things? And so maybe something like writing is a better, like, you don't need supplies for that. You just need...
Oh, Cam.
Pen and paper. You need the best pen.
You need a quill pen with the best ink.
So is that what I should get you for Christmas next year?
I would actually love that.
Okay.
That'd be so cool.
But yeah, so finding what best fits sometimes maybe finding your creative outlet is finding what fits your lifestyle the best too. Because maybe not, people don't have the time to go take photos or, you know, and sit there and edit them, or maybe they don't have the space to have like a creative space. So it's just like figuring out what works best for your lifestyle.
And let me just put an addendum in that, you know, we were talking about how like better gear kind of inspires us sometimes. But sometimes that is a mind block of, I need to get this camera will make me better, my photos better. But really, I could shoot the same photo with my iPhone. It might not be the best, like as good quality, but the story will be there.
Well, and also you don't, like, this is kind of another topic, but you also don't want to hide behind your gear. Like, especially like, for example, when it comes to photos, like you might have a great lens, but like, can you take a photo with like...
Can you nail focus?
Yeah.
Like, what are you taking a picture of? Anybody can take a picture.
Right. And that's if you're doing it for like very serious and like you're really, you know, I don't really care about that stuff. I'm just there to take a photo, but you know what I mean? So yeah. So I thought it would be interesting for us to just kind of bounce ideas. This first section of this segment is just kind of maybe trying to give people who are listening ideas, and then we'll kind of get more into like my personal experience. But what are some creative outlets that we can kind of put out there for people who might want to start something? So I have a list.
Go for it.
Okay. And then if you come up with anything else, there's many, 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 but I just came up with some like major ones that I thought of. Obviously, photography, videography, that's what we do here type of thing.
Indeed.
Painting, drawing, pottery, graphic design, interior design. Maybe you just need a home refresh. Maybe that's your spring project.
That's your creative outlet.
It's just, I'm going to make this home look more like me. Right?
Yeah. That could be a fun way. Go to your husband or wife and be like, babe, I need $10,000. Why? Because Bryce and Camaryn told me I need to find a creative outlet, and I want to refresh our home.
Maybe don't start with $10,000. Maybe just like get some pillows or something to see if you like it.
Pillows are expensive.
Pillows are expensive, but you know. Fashion.
Yeah.
Maybe it's designing clothing. Maybe it's just putting together outfits.
Which is a whole creative thing that I didn't really know before I met you. Like you put so much thought into your clothes and what they're saying. That's
even my nails.
Even your nails. That's a whole creative outlet for you.
Yeah. DIY things, which can go, and that goes with like interior design, but can just go with really a lot of things. Just even upcycling things, building things is a creative outlet. Like I couldn't, like florists, like building, putting together flower arrangements. That's a creative outlet.
Visionaries.
Writing, cake decorating. Yeah, ideas, having these ideas, things like that. And I also, do you have any other thoughts? There's so many.
But I feel like you could go on forever with the list.
And you could like probably break down those, like graphic design, what kind of graphic design?
Well, even graphic design is a breakdown of design.
Yeah. And then like some other things that I thought that maybe you aren't ready to like start a project that's like, or start a creative outlet of like, I'm going to be making something, but maybe you just want to inspire your creative mind and get started. Like just because I think that's healthy for our brains. And so some of the things that I thought about was like reading. Like if you're reading a book, you're not the one writing that book, right? But you have to you're envisioning these characters. If you envision a character and what that character looks like, you're creating in your mind. And so even doing things like that, where it's like, you're not the one writing, because that can be really intimidating, but you're just practicing creating in your mind because it's healthy. You know what I mean? So I don't know if you have any thoughts on those. I think problem solving too can be a form of creating. Which can just, I think is just healthy for our brains.
think you nailed it. Like,
I feel like I'm kind of passionate about this topic.
I think you are. I love it.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thought it?
Okay, so kind of getting into some things now.
Yeah.
So we want to try these creative outlets. Maybe we're just too intimidated to even try them.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe we have found one where like photography's it, or like interior design is it. And then we're like, we can get intimidated and discouraged and overwhelmed to actually like start doing something like that. I think that's like my struggle is whenever I get an idea of something I want to start, I then play like the comparison game of, oh, but I'm not as good as these people who are doing it. How do we overcome that?
I don't think we'll ever overcome that. I was actually listening to a podcast today, and the guy was talking about comparison and all of that, and it's just something you kind of have to ignore.
Yeah.
You kind of have to push it down.
Yeah.
Because if you let your mind go there, it's a dangerous game. Because I do it all the time. And the more you let yourself go into the comparison game and the I'm not good enough, or they're better at it, so let them do that. That just like hinders your creativity so much and causes me to not even want to do anything.
So have you ever been intimidated to start a project or to start something?
Just like I said at the top of the episode, I used to write all the time. Mm-hmm. But recently I've been kind of intimidated to start again for fear of failure and just not being able to articulate my words as well as I used to. I used to be able to really articulate my words, and I had this whole vocabulary, and I knew a bunch of, like, I knew. I
call those big words.
I knew I had a vast vernacular, and
big words.
And now I feel like I'm just not seasoned, like I'm not in practice enough. So it doesn't come as easy as it used to. Yeah. So I've been pushing it off. I've been pushing it down, and I'm ready to jump in and not be scared.
Yeah. I was wondering that. I was wondering if like if there's fear in that, because when you did write like poetry and things, like you were really good at it and people celebrated your abilities. Is there a little bit of like, you feel like the expectation is high and you need to live up to that?
Always.
Yeah.
I feel like as creatives, once you set a bar, if you can't hit that bar, it's hard for you to start.
Yeah.
Kind of honestly, just like with guitar with me, I had stopped since July, and every day I kind of look at the guitar and be like, I should play. But I knew that with each passing day, I was losing like feel. Yeah. And if I picked it up, I wouldn't be as good as I was months ago. So it's just overcoming that, going over that hump and just starting.
Yeah. I think for me, as someone who just doesn't start, like not even as picking up things, but just doesn't start, like I'm always afraid of that. I think I get so intimidated by, I think I just have this like, I feel pressure to be the best at it. And if I know that I'm not going to be the best at it, and what does that even mean? We can get into that, but like, then kind of what you said, why don't I just leave it to the people who know what they're doing? Like, I even think like we experienced that personally in our relationship with photography. It was like, I was learning to take photos. I was taking these photos, but they're like not as good as yours. And like I started to feel like, well, why should I take photos? Bryce is better. I'll just let him do it. You know what I mean? Like that's his thing then. And so I think it can be really intimidating. Am I boring you?
No, sorry. It's like 8:30 at night. I think 8:30 at night. And this is where we're at.
It can be hard to start. I think one thing that I was thinking about specifically is something that I was gonna start and then like never did.
What's that?
Well, there's so many things, but the one that I thought about was the blog. I was gonna start a blog, and I literally started building like my website, and then I was like, no.
That's something that I've tried to start too. I want to start a blog about movie reviews and food reviews, all that. And
it's hard to start.
It's starting.
And that in and of itself, like a blog, it's just overwhelming because it's like, okay, I need to build a website that is a brand, right?
Yeah.
So that takes some design. Like starting a blog in and of itself just is like you're taking so many different creative outlets here because you have to have design abilities, and then you have to like possibly have photography skills, right?
Possibly.
So then it's like, okay, now my website's built, but before I can really put it out there, I need to make sure I have these blogs written so that I don't get behind on them. And so now I have to come up with some things to write out of like nothing.
Yeah,
like,
it's building the blog is one thing. So I feel like people are either really passionate about the writing and not passionate about the building of the blog, or very passionate about building the blog, but not actually writing. So whenever you have to, it's that weird like middle area where you marry the two of, I love building blogs and websites and design, and I love writing. And that's where the successful bloggers are, because I love writing, but I'm also scared to write. I don't necessarily love building the websites as much.
I think I would love building it. Why aren't we just doing it together,
Well,
Bryce?
actually, I was just about to say, I'm surprised that like this podcast even got off the ground, because like we're both kind of a little bit intimidated by putting ourselves out there and starting things. And just like the blog, like we start, but you know, they fizzle out because we're just intimidated because there's other better people to do it.
Yeah.
And honestly, that was a fear of mine when we started this. There's other people that talk about this stuff probably better. But I'm proud of us for doing it.
Yeah, it's so interesting though, because I think for me, I like why a podcast is easier to me than a blog is because I'm talking. Whereas I don't feel confident in my writing anymore. I had really
the college system fails you.
No. That's not what failed me. This is a side note.
Yeah.
But I used to have really good writing in high school. And my first year of college, really great writing. Then I started writing messages, like sermons to preach.
Yeah.
And when you're writing that, you're writing a speech, so you're writing it the way that you talk. My writing, because I was doing that frequently. Yeah. My writing just went downhill from there. It wasn't bad. My writing's not bad, but it was just like not good anymore. Yeah. Not as great as it was before. So now I'm just not confident in my writing because I'm like, I know that I'm a better communicator verbally, I think, than I am writing at this point in my life. But yeah, that was a little side note on why I'm not confident in the writing. But I think I think that's the other thing too, is like I'm trying to find a creative outlet that's not me putting myself. Everything you create to some extent is putting yourself out there because you're creating from yourself and your personal expression, your heart, right? And so you are putting yourself out there, but if it's something that's more personal than something that has to go online all the time. So I think I'm trying to find what's something that can be more,
it's scary,
that there's pieces that I can hold close to me. There's things that I can hold close to me, and there's things I can decide to put out there into the world.
So, yeah. Something that I was told once with it in relation to creating is, like you said, anything that you create, you're putting a piece of yourself out there for people. You need to like hold something super close to yourself. So lock them inside and like let nobody see it. Like know that that's you, because everything else is going to be out there for display. So
be vulnerable, but also protect your heart.
Be vulnerable. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because creating is vulnerable to some extent. But like there are things that like you might not want to share.
Yeah, and the more vulnerable you are, the better the art probably is. Yeah. But you also have to guard yourself.
Yeah. And I think people are too quick to like judge the end products of creating.
I'm guilty of it. I judge end products all the time.
Which I kind of want to get into that a little bit of like, so we're talking about being intimidated to start because we see people who are better.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, those people, they've probably been doing this for years, right?
Yeah.
So my question though to you is, whenever we talk about creative people, just to put this in perspective, I think when we talk about creative people, are creative people good at everything creative, or is it more like they're great in one area but not necessarily in everything?
I think there are those people that seemingly are good at everything, but I don't think that on the typical a creative is good at all things creative. I certainly am not. I can't paint. I'm not a great drawer. I'm a half decent writer, but not great at it. I would say that like I'm great at like one thing or two things.
I very much disagree with that.
But
I also think if you try, I know that you're an okay drawer. You used to draw.
Yeah. But I think it's picking your lane more.
Yeah.
So I have this lane that I'm in that's like photo, video, and then there's also music and stuff in that too. But I don't even really remember your question.
That's okay. No, I think you answered it.
Yeah.
I like kind of my perspective on this is that most likely there are people who are really like, you might see them striving or thriving in this one area, and they're great at it because that's the gifts that they've been given, but that doesn't mean that they're good in all areas.
Yeah.
But the other thing I think that's true is that when you have a real creative person, and I know that you've been saying that you have like the fear of failure specifically when it comes to writing, but I also think there's this part of you that you're, like you said earlier, just throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. You're also not afraid to try.
Yeah.
And so I think that's also what we see with like creatives is sometimes there's people out there that are just, they're not afraid. They're not afraid to do it and say, I just did this, even if it's not the best. And then our perception of that confidence is, wow, they're so good.
Yeah.
Even if maybe they're not the best, but it's because they're confident in what they're making. And so it's like, maybe if we just like carry ourselves with confidence in whatever we create, then it is great.
I think it's also like how much passion you feel behind the project. I'm just going to use like movies as an example. There's movies that were made in the 40s that nobody liked, but they are legendary now because the directors were thinking way beyond what was just in the 40s. They were thinking not even of the future. They were just running with their idea, and they were long since dead whenever these movies actually started to gain traction and reverenced for. So it's not that we're creating for the moment or for anybody, it's for us.
Yeah.
And nobody else might get it. But if you get it and you accomplish your mission, somebody someday might understand. And they might not.
Right.
Everybody might say it's horrible, but that's okay. If you feel confident in it, that's all that really matters.
And I think that like kind of goes into a question of like, what is creating and creativity, and what makes someone the best or better than you? Because really creating is subjective. It's all on a scale. And so a chart. Bryce's. But like what I mean is like, if you see something, let's just go with painting because I feel like that's something that people easily judge as good or bad. But it's like, oh, this painting's so good and this one's not. But somebody else might look at that and say the opposite. And so it's like, what even, who says that one thing isn't?
Where's the rubric?
Yeah. And so I think too, like, maybe my question is, how can we have a better view of like success in the creative world and also what it means to like how can we have a healthier view of what we create?
I think it's like I said before, as long as we're happy with it, then that's really the metric that we need.
Yeah.
Yes, we all want people's approval because we're human, but I think we need to look past that, or at least try to look past that, and gauge it by, do I feel fulfilled in this? And not just because people told me that it was good or that it wasn't, but do I feel like I did a good job on this?
I think that's a big thing with searching for your creative outlet, is don't just do what somebody has said that you're good at in the past or now. Because if you can be good at, like, people might perceive you as being good at something, but that doesn't mean that you actually enjoy the creative process of it. But yeah, hold on. I had a question and it just like escaped my mind. Oh, or thought more. So whenever we create, like, do you think that there's a view of creating in the social media world right now that kind of has more of an, like, that tries to have more of an objective view? Like, or let me preface it. Sorry, my words aren't coming. But like, creating really is unique to every individual.
Yeah.
The outcome, the creative process is unique to every individual, which means the outcome of that creating is unique to that person.
Yeah.
Like we said, you're being vulnerable to some extent. You're expressing yourself through what you're creating. And do you feel like the way social media kind of treats creatives and treats the things that we create in that way? Or do you think it's more like, this is good and this isn't? And is that okay?
I think that with social media especially, everything is pretty polarizing. I think there is a community in which people are very supportive and nice to one another, but there's also the negative, dark side of the internet that's very, this is the greatest thing ever, or go kill yourself. You don't deserve to be working, period, or doing this. And those are two bad places to be. Like, just shilling for something because it has a logo on it or something, and even though it might be bad, and then being hateful and mean and cruel and everything, that's the worst. So I think there's this huge divide. I do think there's nice people out there that are supportive of each other, but yeah.
I just feel like we don't have a well-rounded view of what creating actually means. It doesn't mean creating for for consuming. There is that happening. Yeah. Like, there is that. Obviously, like the clothes that we wear, they were created for us to consume. Yeah. But when it comes to just personal, the everyday creative experience, it's like, we're not doing that for consuming, and yet people are trying to still have that consumer mindset, when in reality, it's like, this person made that uniquely and individually as themselves. Yeah. Why are we that they didn't do it for us? And why is that considered bad in our eyes, when why can't we see it as, just like, as we, not to get like philosophical here, but like each person's uniquely beautiful, right? Yeah. Why don't we see the things that people make the same way?
And I think this is a whole other topic, but originality. There's so many things like trending Instagram reel audios that will get you on the algorithm, or TikTok audios that are trending, or trends. Like, those aren't, there was an original idea, but then people copy that. And I'm not trying to discount the people that copy it and do that, because they're creating in their own way. But like, that's not an original idea. You're doing an original take on the idea, but are you really doing that for you, or who are you
for consumers?
Exactly. Who are you doing that for? And do you feel good about yourself at the end of the day? Maybe you do. Maybe you do.
And I think it's okay to take inspiration from other people.
Everybody does.
Allow it to be something that's an individual expression of yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. my gosh, I keep having questions and then you say something and then it goes.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's good because just means that it wasn't that important. Oh, I remember.
Okay.
On social media, there also seems, not even in the sense of like what we've been saying with people commenting, but just sometimes there's this like negative kind of perspective that's being put out there. Like today I saw a video that was like 5 interior design mistakes I would never do. And it's like, well, somebody might be like, that's an expression of them. So, but you're making it sound like those are the worst things ever. So it's like, why are you putting that out there? Who cares? Like, do 5 things that you love to do in interior design, but instead it has to be the negative where it's like, don't ever do these things because they look awful.
I think it's just how we're built as humans.
Oh, it bothers me.
It bothers me too, but if I see a video that's like, I will never do these 5 camera mistakes again, like I'm going to watch that 10 times faster than here's 5 photography tips that instantly made my photography better. Yeah. Like I'm going to watch the negative one more probably. Yeah. And it's clickbaity. It's going to get traction. And also it's probably tearing somebody down or a concept down or something. And that's just people like watching that. And it's not good.
I just think it's like, it can make it even harder to start something.
Yeah.
Because like I've been watching a lot of interior design things. So now all the things that are popping up in my like feed is interior design stuff. Yeah. And that's what I'm seeing. So that makes it harder for somebody to get started because it's like, well, I don't want to make that. Like, I don't
want to end up on one of these videos.
And it's like, who are you to say these things? Exactly. Like that, it just bothers me a little bit because I wish we had, as somebody who is afraid to create, I think it's because culture and society has created an environment that can make it hard to create.
Definitely.
But along with that, so like we kind of just have to like, you just kind of have to jump into it, right?
Yeah. You just have to rip the Band-Aid off, jump in.
Try things.
Swim around.
And the other thing too is like, there is always room for growth.
Always.
You're never, and I think this is what I have to tell myself too, is like, you might see these people who are quote unquote better than you, but they've also had time to practice and grow. Yes. And so where you were at in photography 10 years ago is not where you're at now. Yeah. And I kind of was thinking about this. I was like, you know, when we think about little kids who like bring drawings and stuff or who are creative people, like they'll bring something and you're like, wow, that looks great. And if they just stayed there their entire life, you know, if there's a 3-year-old scribbling, that's like, oh my gosh, that's great, right? Yeah. But if they're like 25, and I mean, there are people who have art, so I'm not putting down that likes that, but like there's an expectation that their ability grows over time, right? Just like us. Like the more you do something, the more you invest in it, the more you work at it, the more you're going to grow into what. So just, I guess the thing is like, don't put limits on just because this is where you're at doesn't mean if you don't feel like it's great, that doesn't mean it can't get better, but also just be proud of what you've created
100%
because you're doing it for you and as an expression for yourself. So yeah. Any other thoughts on that?
I don't think so. Just jump in. Don't be afraid of failing. Yeah. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. And people may say things, good or bad. Just guard your heart and know what you're worth.
Yeah. So that didn't really answer what my creative outlet's going to be, but it's going to help me. I think this conversation is going to help me be more confident when I want to try something. Because I just need to try it. Yeah.
Like, I think something to add to that kind of is, I feel like in like a creative journey, there's the jumping off point. So you jump off and like your skill goes way up. And because you're doing it because you love it. You're just constantly doing it. I'll use my own photography journey. Whenever I started, like it was pretty good and I enjoyed doing it. And then there was a point where I overthinked. I overthought.
Those are hard words,
yes,
man.
It's getting late and my brain's turning off. But there was a point where I overthought everything too much. And that just hinders you, so my skill goes down. And then there's a point where you just have to like take all that knowledge, and all the criticism and all that, and just kind of push it aside and just do it because you love doing it. It's like, just do it with a child's attitude. Like you were saying about the scribbles, except you have that skill now. So take those concepts, put them together, and just do something because you love doing it. And knowing that your skill level is there matched with it, you'll have a great output. Yeah.
I think just also not getting discouraged when you do try things and you realize it's not for you. That's kind of where I'm at, where I was at.
Yeah.
Because like this winter, I mean, you asked me every week and I was like, I didn't really do anything creative, because I think I was at a point where I was like, I've tried things and I don't feel like I'm finding anything. So I just got to keep going. It's part of the creative journey.
It is.
Well, that's all the questions I had, but I wanted to say one more thing. And I'm going to give credit. You don't even know what I'm going to say. I'm going to give credit where credit is due, because I thought this would be a fun idea. So I mentioned last week, she's really inspiring me, but Mr. Kate. And she does interior design. Her and her husband, they have an app. And on their app, they have like, you can find your aesthetic. Yeah. You can take like quizzes and stuff, edit photos. But they have sometimes these creative challenges. And I thought, how cool would it be for us and our listeners to take on a creative challenge together? So what I thought was, with this topic, and with us exploring some new avenues to create, and for you all exploring new avenues to create, that would be our challenge. So start something new, create through a new way. Yeah. And we're going to try it too. There's no like time frame on this, because we're not rushing creativity. But like, if you start creating, maybe you haven't really ever tried something, like post it, tag us in it, because we want to celebrate that.
Love it.
And so whenever you're creating something, tag us in it so that we can know what you guys are creating, because we would love that. And whenever we try something new, means you have to try something new, Bryce.
I'll try something new.
Or when you pick up writing or whatever, we'll share that with you guys as something that we've tried and we've started. And even if it's not the greatest, we're going to put it out there, and then our community can support each other.
I love that challenge.
So maybe this is something we'll start doing, where we'll start coming up, not weekly, but every once in a while, like, here's a creative challenge for you. But the first one is to try something new, post a story or something, tag us in it so we can see what you're doing.
I love it.
Yeah.
And along while you're doing that, give us a 5-star review on all the podcast platforms. Follow us. Subscribe, like, all the things.
Tag at the
Everyday Creative Pod on Instagram. YouTube, subscribe, like, comment, all the things.
You know what to do.
You know what to do.
But we like to remind you.
Oh, yes.
Stay tuned, because next week is a movie review. So if you like that stuff.
And it's going to be interesting, because we're going to change the format up a little bit. Again, we're not going to be in the studio next week.
We'll see for the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, how it goes. But yes, we're going to be reviewing Civil War.
Yep. Alex Garland's last film.
Watch it so that you can be a part of the conversation. Yep. So stay tuned for that if you missed our Lights, Camera, and Action.
See you next week.
Yep.
Stay creative.
I like that. Stay creative. That'd be like ending vlogs. Stay creative. That's good. That felt short.